If you're a single black queer Brit looking at a £12,000 pension and wondering how you're meant to live on it, this conversation matters, because £1,000 a month in Britain doesn't buy much life. In the right places abroad, it still can. We're talking warm weather, manageable costs, and somewhere you don't feel like you have to shrink yourself just to exist. Stay with me. By the end of this, you'll have a short list of countries where your money and your identity both have room to breathe. Welcome to BGB Media, a channel about film, culture, and how we choose to live. Today, we're looking at retirement abroad, specifically on a UK pension of roughly £12,000 a year. The full new UK state pension from April 2026 pays £241.30 per week, which is just over £12,500 per year. That is the maximum amount. Many people receive less, depending on their national insurance record. If you add a small occupational pension or modest savings income, around £12,000 per year becomes a realistic working figure. This video is for a specific audience, Black LGBTQ+ people connected to the UK who are thinking seriously about life after work. The questions here are different from typical expat videos. It's not only about affordability, it's about safety, visibility, and community. I looked for places that meet 4 conditions: warm climate, realistic living costs of around £1,000 per month, reasonable safety for LGBTQ+ people, some form of black community or diaspora presence. Here are options to consider. By the end, I'll also show which of these countries works best depending on whether your priority is cost, safety, or cultural connection. There's one detail almost no expat video mentions, a rule that could reduce the real value of your pension every year you're abroad, without you ever noticing until it's too late. It affects 5 of the 7 countries on this list. We'll come back to it. Let's start with the most familiar option. Number 1, Portugal. For many UK retirees, Portugal remains the easiest transition. Close to home, culturally familiar, and one of the most LGBTQ+ friendly countries in Europe. 300 days of sunshine in the south, mild winters, coastal towns where life moves at a slower pace without feeling isolated. Lisbon and Porto still have real cultural energy. Music, film, independent cinema, a strong cafe culture. It's also only about 2.5 hours from London. That matters when family is still back home. A 1-bedroom flat outside the city centre usually costs between £450 and £550 per month. Food costs around £150 to £200 per month if you cook at home and eat out occasionally. Health insurance costs roughly £80 to £120 per month. Many retirees manage on between £900 and £1,100 per month in smaller towns. Lisbon has become expensive in recent years, which is why most retirees base themselves in places like Setúbal, Évora or Faro, and find they get considerably more for their money. Portugal has recognized same-sex marriage since 2010. The country enforces strong anti-discrimination protections and has one of the most established LGBTQ+ communities in southern Europe. Lisbon hosts one of the largest pride events on the continent. Portugal also has a visible Afro-Portuguese population in Lisbon, largely connected to Cape Verde, Angola, and Mozambique. Structural racism exists, but most black British residents report feeling broadly comfortable in the capital. Portuguese is manageable for English speakers. In Lisbon and the Algarve, you can get by in the early months with English, but everyday life, bureaucracy, healthcare, friendships eventually requires the language. Most people reach a functional level within a year of consistent effort. Best for someone who wants the safety and infrastructure of Western Europe, but with warmth and colour, and who values being able to get back to the UK easily. Picture this. You are in a small town near Setúbal. A 1-bedroom flat costs around £450 per month. The cafe down the road already knows your order. Your pension covers rent, food, and the occasional meal out, and you still have money left at the end of the month. Quieter than London, but entirely yours. 2. Cape Verde. If Portugal is the comfortable European option, Cape Verde offers something very different. A black-majority island country off the West African coast. Year-round sun. A culture shaped by African and Portuguese influences and some of the most striking music you've possibly never heard. Life here moves to a concept locals call morabeza, warmth, hospitality, and social ease. Mindelo on the island of São Vicente is the cultural heart of the archipelago. Music spills from bars in the evening. The art scene is surprisingly rich for a small city. This is consistently where long-term residents say they'd rather be. Rent for a one-bedroom flat in Mindelo often sits between £300 and £400 per month. Local food is inexpensive. Basic healthcare insurance costs between £50 and £80 per month. Many residents live comfortably on between £650 and £900 per month. On £1,000 per month, you are not stretching, you are living. Now here's where Cape Verde becomes genuinely interesting and where the data surprises most people. Same-sex relationships have been legal in Cape Verde since 2004. Employment discrimination on the grounds of sexual orientation has been banned since 2008, making the country one of the few in Africa with that legal protection. Under Article 123 of the Penal Code, hate crimes motivated by sexual orientation carry penalties of 15 to 30 years for homicide. This is a specific legal protection that most African nations do not have. According to Afrobarometer, the most rigorous independent polling organization covering Africa, 80% of Cape Verde's population say they would welcome or would not be bothered by having a gay neighbor. On a broader tolerance index, the country scores 92%, the highest of any country surveyed on the continent. Pride events have been held since 2013, and there is an established gay association. Cape Verde's own tourism platform highlights this data prominently. That level of social tolerance isn't accidental. Researchers trace it directly to Amilcar Cabral, the anti-colonialist leader who led Cape Verde's independence movement against Portugal. Cabral explicitly mandated women in leadership roles in every territory he liberated. That commitment to structural equality embedded itself in the country's political culture and has broadened over decades. Cape Verde's tolerance didn't emerge from nowhere. It was built. The honest caveats: there is no same-sex marriage and no legal partnership recognition. The healthcare system is limited outside Praia and Mindelo. For anything serious, people travel to Portugal, which is a short direct flight away. And as a black person, you're part of the demographic majority here, which changes the texture of daily life in ways that are genuinely hard to describe until you've experienced it. Imagine a Saturday evening in Mindelo. A small courtyard bar, live morning music, a glass of grog arrives at your table without you asking. Nobody is performing welcome, you're simply there. For many black Brits, that feeling of existing without explanation carries more weight than a perfect legal framework. Best for someone who prioritizes being in a black majority environment with genuine social acceptance, values cultural depth, and is comfortable with the gap between social tolerance and legal recognition. Before we move on, a quick observation. Portugal and Cape Verde are relatively stable, relatively easy to settle into. The next countries on this list offer different lifestyles, sometimes dramatically more affordable, but they also ask more of you. 3. Colombia. Medellín. Few cities have reinvented themselves as dramatically as Medellín. Once known globally for violence, it is now a creative, internationally connected city in a mountain valley with a climate locals call the City of Eternal Spring, at 22 to 24 degrees year-round. Rent in neighborhoods like Laureles or Envigado often runs between £350 and £500 per month. Food is inexpensive. Healthcare insurance typically costs less than £100 per month. Many residents live comfortably on between £700 and £1,000 per month. Colombia is the most LGBTQ plus progressive country in Latin America. Same-sex marriage has been legal since 2016. Medellín has a visible and established queer community. dedicated venues, well-attended pride events, and a genuine social scene. Machismo culture still exists outside LGBTQ+ specific spaces, and neighborhood context matters. Being visibly queer in the wrong area can draw attention. Medellín is predominantly mestizo. Anti-black racism is structural and present, though black British residents often report that being visibly foreign provides some social buffer. This is not a neutral racial environment, and you'd be going in with clear eyes. Spanish is essential for real integration. Medellín's large expat scene makes it easy to stay in English-speaking bubbles, and that's exactly the trap that creates long-term dissatisfaction. Colombian Spanish is considered among the clearest in Latin America, which makes this one of the better places to actually learn. Best for someone genuinely adventurous, comfortable with social complexity, willing to learn Spanish, and who wants an exciting urban life at a fraction of European prices. Picture this. You've been in Medellín 3 months. You've found a cafe in Laureles where you go every morning. The owner knows your order. There's a guy there most days, a Colombian architect in his 40s, who spotted your Arsenal cap in week 1 and has never let you forget it. You've had dinner at his flat. His partner was there. It was just a Tuesday. This is the texture of a life that's actually possible here. Real connections, real warmth once you're embedded. But those first weeks of working out where you fit, they take work. 4. Thailand, Chiang Mai. If Medellín offers urban energy, Chiang Mai offers the opposite. A northern Thai city surrounded by mountains and temples. One of the most established expat destinations in the world, some of the best food in Asia, and a cost of living that is remarkable even by the standards of this list. Rent for a comfortable one-bedroom flat runs between £250 and £380 per month. Food, particularly local street food, is extremely affordable. Overall living costs often fall between £600 and £900 per month. Your £1,000 here doesn't just cover costs, it leaves meaningful breathing room. Thailand has a visible LGBTQ+ presence and a cultural history that includes deep-rooted concepts of gender diversity. Social tolerance can exceed legal protections which are still developing. Overt displays of same-sex affection can cause discomfort outside LGBTQ+ spaces. As a black resident, you will stand out more here than anywhere else on this list. Experiences tend to involve curiosity rather than hostility, but assumptions shaped by global media do appear. Thai is tonal and uses its own script, genuinely difficult for English speakers. Most long-term expats rely on English-speaking networks and translation apps. Daily life works, but deeper integration has a ceiling. Best for someone who prioritizes low cost of living above most other factors, has a genuine sense of adventure, and is comfortable being one of a small number of black residents in their community. 5. Spain. Canary Islands, or Valencia, Spain, offers some of the strongest LGBTQ+ protections in the world. Same-sex marriage has been legal since 2005. Anti-discrimination laws are well established. Legal gender recognition exists. The infrastructure, healthcare, transport, public services is excellent. The Canary Islands give you near year-round warmth. Las Palmas de Gran Canaria has a large international community, a strong LGBTQ+ scene, and city-level amenities. Maspalomas is one of the most well-known gay destinations in Europe. Valencia on the mainland combines city culture with lower costs than Barcelona or Madrid. The catch is cost. Rent outside tourist zones typically runs £500 to £650 a month. Food and healthcare add another few £100. Living on £1,000 a month here is possible but requires discipline. This is the tightest budget on the list. Spain has a growing but still relatively small black population. Anti-black racism exists and racial profiling has been documented, though the Canaries, bear with stronger historical ties to West Africa, have a more layered picture. Spanish helps enormously for real community connections. The Canary Islands have enough British expat infrastructure to ease the early months, but local belonging requires the language. As a UK state pensioner, you may be able to access Spanish public health care via the S1 form, worth investigating before you go. Best for someone who wants the maximum LGBTQ+ legal infrastructure and safety, is comfortable in a Western European context, and is willing to budget carefully. 6. South Africa. Cape Town or Durban. South Africa offers something different from anything else on this list. A black majority society, one of the most progressive LGBTQ+ legal frameworks in the world, and a pound that goes considerably further than in Europe. Same-sex marriage has been legal since 2006, the first country in Africa to achieve it. Constitutional protections exist. Anti-discrimination laws are in place. Cape Town combines dramatic scenery with a lively arts and nightlife culture. De Waterkant is the established gay neighborhood. Durban offers a warmer Indian Ocean climate and a distinctive cultural mix shaped by Zulu, Indian and African influences. Both cities have genuine cultural energy, music, food, independent art scenes that you won't find replicated anywhere else on this list. Rent for a one-bedroom flat in a safe area of Cape Town runs between £300 and £450 per month. Food costs £150 to £200. Private healthcare insurance sits between £80 and £120 per month. Transport requires careful budgeting, as public transport in Cape Town is limited and most residents rely on Ubers or a car. Overall, monthly costs typically fall between £800 and £1,040. Two things require honest attention. Private healthcare is non-negotiable. The public system is not designed for foreign residents, and you would not want to rely on it in an emergency. Crime requires real daily awareness. Neighborhood choice, transport habits, and routine all need thought. This is not a reason to dismiss South Africa, but it is a reality every long-term resident there will tell you without prompting, and going in without a plan for it would be a mistake. The LGBTQ+ picture is genuinely mixed. Urban Cape Town is open in a way that is rare anywhere on the African continent. But deeply conservative attitudes persist in townships and rural areas, and hate crimes against LGBTQ+ people, particularly black lesbian women, do occur. As a black British person in South Africa, you occupy a specific and interesting position. You are part of the racial majority, but you are also foreign and relatively affluent by local standards. The legacy of apartheid means that race, class, and geography are still deeply intertwined. Which neighborhoods are safe, which spaces you move through, who you end up socializing with. Most black British visitors describe feeling more racially comfortable here than in the UK, while being aware of the structural complexity underneath. English is one of South Africa's 11 official languages and dominates business, media, and urban social life. You will not feel a language barrier in Cape Town or Johannesburg. That practical advantage is more significant than it sounds when you compare it to the language learning curve in every other non-European country on this list. Picture a Friday evening in Cape Town, a bar near the city centre, amapiano playing, a room where you are not the only black queer person present. And at the same time, you are aware of which streets you don't take at night and which Ubers you call. That contrast is the honest texture of this city. Vibrant, complicated, and unlike anywhere else on this list. Best for someone who wants to be on the African continent, values genuine immersion in black cultural life, and is prepared to do serious homework on safety, healthcare, and logistics. 7. Costa Rica. Costa Rica sits somewhere between everything else on this list. Warm climate, stable politics, the first Central American country to legalize same-sex marriage in 2020. San Jose offers functional city life, but the Caribbean coast around Puerto Viejo is where the most distinctive experience lives. Slower, warmer, deeply tied to its African heritage. This region has deep Jamaican roots. Descendants of Jamaican laborers who settled here in the 19th century make up a distinct Afro-Costa Rican community with its own food, music, and cultural identity. Creole English is widely spoken alongside Spanish. For a Black British person, that linguistic and cultural familiarity can make social integration here faster than anywhere else in Central America. Rent in non-tourist areas runs between £300 and £450 per month. Monthly costs typically fall between £750 and £1,000 if you live like a local. The warning: imported goods and tourist area prices push costs up quickly. Living like a local is a financial decision here, not just a lifestyle choice. The trade-off is distance. Flights to the UK are long and require planning. If regular visits home matter, factor that in. Best for someone who wants warmth, nature, and the possibility of being genuinely embedded in a Black community with its own deep roots, rather than simply being a foreign resident in a majority other country. Things people rarely mention. Before choosing a country, there are a few realities that rarely make the glossy version of these conversations. Visas require planning. Post-Brexit, residency in Portugal or Spain involves real paperwork, income proof, health insurance requirements, and timelines. The Portugal D7 and Spain's non-lucrative residency visa are the most relevant routes. Start 12 to 18 months before you want to move. South Africa and Costa Rica have their own long-stay processes. Research them early. Healthcare is not automatic. In EU countries, the UKS1 form may give you access to public healthcare as a state pensioner. Worth checking with the NHS Business Services Authority. Outside the EU, private insurance is essential. In South Africa, it is non-negotiable. Loneliness is real. Moving abroad alone takes more social effort than most people expect. As a Black LGBTQ+ person, you may find expat communities that are predominantly white, LGBTQ+ spaces that are predominantly white, or Black diaspora communities that are not always affirming. Go in with a plan for your social life, not just your finances. Language shapes how deeply you can live in a place. South Africa and Costa Rica's Caribbean coast are the only countries on this list where English carries you all the way through daily life. In Portugal and Spain, you can get by early on, but will need the language within a year to feel genuinely at home. In Colombia, Spanish is non-negotiable for anything beyond surface integration, and Medellin's large expat scene makes it dangerously easy to avoid it. Thai is the highest barrier, tonal, a different script, and genuinely difficult for English speakers. Most Chiang Mai expats never fully cross it. Safety means different things in different places. Portugal and Spain offer strong legal protection. South Africa offers deep cultural connection, but requires greater daily awareness around crime. Cape Verde sits somewhere in the middle, progressive socially, limited legally. Exchange rates fluctuate. The pound has been volatile. Build in a buffer where you can, and the detail most expat videos miss entirely. If you move to a country outside the EU, the EEA, or a country with a social security agreement with the UK, your state pension is frozen at the rate it was when you left. It will not rise with inflation. It will not benefit from the triple lock. Portugal and Spain are in the EU. Your pension keeps rising. Colombia, Thailand, Cape Verde, South Africa, and Costa Rica are frozen pension countries. Over a long retirement, that difference compounds significantly. It is not a footnote. It is a core financial consideration that should sit at the center of your decision, not arrive as a surprise 3 years in. Pulling it together, each place on this list answers a different need. Portugal offers stability, proximity, and a legal environment that fully protects you, with a pension that keeps rising. Cape Verde offers a Black majority society with unusual social tolerance, extraordinary culture, and a cost of living where £1,000 a month actually feels like freedom. South Africa offers immersion in Black cultural life at a level you won't find anywhere else on this list, with the complexity that comes with it. Costa Rica's Caribbean coast offers a smaller, slower life embedded in a community with genuine African roots. Colombia and Thailand offer the most for your money if urban energy or minimal cost are the priority. Spain is the strongest choice if legal protection and LGBTQ+ infrastructure matter above everything else. The question isn't which country is best, it's which life you want. A £12,000 pension in Britain can feel like a ceiling. In the right place abroad, it can still buy warmth, community and time. Which of these feels closest to the life you want? Tell me in the comments. And if you want deeper guides, real neighborhood breakdowns, current visa processes, what people are actually paying right now, subscribe and let me know which country to cover first. This channel is about making sure our futures are not an afterthought. I'll see you in the next one.